Assalamu alaikum. I'm Imam Dai Abdallah, the director of LGBT Outreach Program at Muslims for Progressive Values. In this video, we're going to talk about living mentally healthy lives as sexual minorities in our communities. There are many ways to live your life, just as there are many ways for others to live their lives. What we need to understand as communities of sexual minorities is to be able to rise above the limitations set for us by others, and to question our own understandings of who we are and where we come from. It is important to understand our identities, whether that identity is our gender, sexual orientation, or anything else. If we look at our gender identity, we realize we cannot change our gender. It could be the case that we are born with a body that everyone else says belongs to this or that type of gender. But we always know who we are inside, and we cannot change that. So if we are born into the body of a supposed male, but inside we feel we are female, we have to then figure out how to reconcile that with our outside body. Likewise, we know now we cannot change our sexual orientation. Scientific research has told us over and over again that sexual orientation is an innate part of our psyche. Despite what anyone else might want, including our own understanding of what we are, we cannot change our sexual orientation. This is a very important thing to realize. Since we cannot change our gender or sexual orientation, it means we have two choices: live healthy lives by accepting who we are, or deal with a life full of mental illnesses. The difference between accepting who we are and living in opposition to ourselves means having a healthy or unhealthy mental health. So, how can we live a life full of healthy mental health? It seems to me, from all that is available to us, the best way to have a good mental health is to accept who we are. Of course, it doesn't mean we become something detrimental to ourselves. That means if you are a gay Muslim, you do not go from hating yourself to having casual sex or living an un-Islamic life. What we need to do instead is to live equally, with dignity, and with our faith and our communities. This is not a get-out card to live a dangerous life repackaged for you by others as a good life. As Muslims, we have a responsibility to be an example to ourselves first and foremost, to our communities, and to the world at large. That is what it means to be a self-loving individual in the eyes of the divine. Something that we need to understand is that we can always change our religion. I certainly have. Since we cannot change our sexual orientation, the most important thing to do is to understand our religion. Is our religion against who we are? That answer can help us to decide whether or not we want to change our religion. So I invite you all to understand all that is related to your religion, so that you can better decide for yourselves whether or not your religion is for you. After understanding who we are and understanding our religion, the next natural step is to understand our family and our tribal background. No matter whether you are coming from the East or the West, the reality of the truth is that human beings are tribal. Whereas, in the East, people might affiliate themselves with a particular tribe. In the West, we might have a certain group of people who might identify with a particular brand, will, or way of life. No matter how it comes across, or what the name of it is, tribalism is part of who we are. But before we do away with our tribes, we need to understand our families. One of the most important aspects of life is to understand one's history. Do you understand your Islamic history? Do you understand your LGBT history? Do you understand your national history? These answers can help you to find peace inside yourself. It is very important to understand the history of ourselves as individuals as well as collectively. Islamic history is divided into three parts. One, the early part, the middle, or the golden age, and the modern times. By understanding the early part of the faith, which lasts from the lifetime of the Prophet to the end of the Umayyad period, we understand how much influence came from our faith backgrounds due to our Muslim brothers and sisters converting from paganism, Judaism, and Christianity. In the Golden Age, we see how our early Arab-dominant culture intertwines with the new Persian-dominant culture of our faith, which gives us a clear understanding of all the influences intertwining yet together again. In the modern times, just like the early and middle times, we see how our faith is yet again influenced by the combinations of our old culture, our new Turkish-dominant culture, and our colonizers' cultures. We all have rights, whether we live in this type of society or that type of society. The most important thing is to understand your rights. What are your rights in your family? What are your rights in your religion? What are your rights in your country? What are your rights under the United Nations? Understanding the answers to these questions can also help you find peace. The most important thing to understand is our rights under the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. In conclusion, it is important to recognize the absolute importance of accepting our identities, understanding our faith and history, and being aware of our rights. Once we have done that, we are then able to live healthy lives as sexual minorities as yourself, contributing fully to society and our beautiful communities. Of course, as with any other community, we need to be aware of our strengths and weaknesses and to work towards growing as individuals as well as collectively.